It's a Tuesday afternoon in July 2018. Brimington Park, Peckham, South London. A small concrete cage, chain-link fence, kids playing keep up, a few grandmothers watching from a bench. Nothing unusual. Then a black SUV pulls up on the side street, and out steps a man in an all-black tracksuit, hood halfway over his head, and a smile you can spot from a mile away. For minutes. That's all it takes. For minutes for the entire park to empty its corners and pile against that fence. For minutes for phones to spring out of pockets in every direction. For minutes for a chant to start, not a football chant, just his name, over and over, in the accents of 30 different London postcodes. Ronaldinho. 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 He hasn't kicked a professional ball in 31 months. He hasn't played for Brazil in 5 years. He hasn't lifted a major trophy in 11. And still, on a random Tuesday in a random park, in a country he never played club football in, a man technically retired from a sport of football turns a public square into a riot in less time than it takes to boil pasta. Now stop for a second, because here's the part nobody talks about. Every other legend of that generation gets the opposite treatment. Cristiano Ronaldo, in 2025, shoves a fan in Armenia because his security wall runs too thin. Lionel Messi in Kolkata cannot walk to the center circle of a stadium without the organizers of the event getting detained by police for losing control of the crowd. Peckham travels with a personal detail bigger than most U.S. senators. Zidane hasn't stood in an unfiltered public place in over a decade. The rule of global football stardom is simple, and it has been the same for 40 years. The longer you've been away from the game, the smaller the crowd should get. Retirement is supposed to shrink you. Time is supposed to sand you down. You go from stadium to airport to hotel to airport to private lounge, and by the time you're 45, the people who wait for you fit inside a single VIP room. That rule applies to everyone. Everyone except one man. Because Ronaldinho Gaucho, at 44 years old, arrived in Shepherd's Bush in a pink Rolls Royce and needed a human corridor just to walk 20 meters to a 5-side pitch. At 43, he landed in Kolkata for the very first time and pulled a mob out of the international arrivals terminal that made the local police look understaffed. At 46 this year, he flew into a small regional airport in northern Italy and had to sign footballs on the tarmac before the car door even closed, and hours later 6,000 people crammed onto a public beach just to see him wave. This video is not a highlight reel of times Ronaldinho got mobbed. It's the answer to a much stranger question. Why does his crowd keep growing when everyone else's shrinks? Why does the man who has been retired the longest cause the most chaos when he walks into a room? And why is he the only megastar on earth who, when the crowd surges toward him, walks straight into it instead of behind 6 bodyguards? There is an answer, and it has almost nothing to do with football and almost everything to do with a childhood in a Porto Alegre neighborhood that most of his fans have never even seen on a map. Stay with me. What comes next is the pattern the rest of them tried to copy, and none of them could. To understand why Ronaldinho becomes a mob magnet at 46, you have to go back to a street called Padre Cacique in the south of Porto Alegre. Specifically, to a small brick house in the Vila Nova neighborhood, gifted to the family by Grêmio Football Club after his older brother Roberto Assis signed a professional contract in the early 1980s. Vila Nova was not a favela in the postcard sense of the word. It was quieter. Poorer than the city center, tucked between a stretch of woods and a lake called Guaiba, more concrete than dirt, more churches than nightclubs. The kind of place where everyone on your block knew your father, your father's father, and what you had for breakfast that morning. Ronaldo de Assis Moreira was born there in March 1980. His father João worked as a shipyard welder and moonlighted as a striker for the Cruzeiro RS amateur side. He drowned in the family swimming pool when Ronaldinho was 8 years old. Understand what that does to a household. The oldest son becomes the father. The mother, Miguelina, becomes both parents. The little brother, the one with the buck-toothed grin, becomes the family's project, the responsibility of an entire street. That street did not shield him. That street raised him. Here's the detail nobody mentions. In Vila Nova, in the late 80s and early 90s, kids did not play in academies. They played in the road. They played in the field behind the church. They played in front of the bar where the fathers drank on Sundays. And when a 9-year-old Ronaldinho started dribbling around 3 grown men at a time, the entire community did not clap politely and go home. They gathered. 20, 30, sometimes 50 people would stand around a pickup game just to watch this kid do what he was doing. He learned, before he could read a defensive line, that a crowd around him was normal. A crowd around him was safety. That is the imprint that never left. Every other superstar of his era learned the opposite lesson. Cristiano grew up in Madeira and was told from age 12 that fans were a threat to the discipline he needed. Messi, transplanted to La Masia at 13, learned that public attention was a distraction to be filtered out. Peckham grew up under English tabloid surveillance, which taught him that any unmanaged crowd was a career risk. Zidane, from Marseille projects, learned to distrust noise. Ronaldinho learned that noise meant he was doing something right. By the time he was 17 and being called up to the Brazil national team, he already had a habit that would follow him for the next 3 decades. When the team bus stopped for a security check, he would step off, walk over to the perimeter, and start signing shirts through the fence. His teammates would sit inside the bus staring at him like he had lost his mind. He would smile back and shrug. Where he grew up, this is what you did. You went out to the people. The people did not come to you. If you're enjoying this deep dive so far, do us a huge favor and hit the like button. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm to push this video to another football fan who has never understood why Ronaldinho gets treated the way he does. One tap. That's all. Now, almost 30 years after that first Brazil call-up, that same instinct is still there. It never got trained out of him. It never got polished into VIP lounge etiquette. And it is the exact reason a park in Peckham turns into a stampede in 4 minutes flat. Rewind to that afternoon in July 2018, because the footage that leaked out of Birmingham Park that day tells a story that goes way beyond a Nike promo shoot. Look at what actually happens on camera. Ronaldinho steps out of the SUV. There's no security in front of him. There are 2 Pro Direct Soccer employees to his side, a filmer holding a phone gimbal, and that's it. He walks through the front gate of the park the same way any dad walks through the front gate of any park. He does not scan the perimeter. He does not clip a lanyard. He does not tuck his chin. He looks up, grins at the first kid who spots him, and lifts a hand to wave. That wave is the trigger. Within seconds, a small circle forms. Within 30 seconds, the circle is a mob. Within 4 minutes, the fence line is 3 deep. Phones overheads, kids climbing on shoulders, older men in Arsenal shirts running from the bus stop across the road, one woman shouting from a second-floor window that she is coming down. And Ronaldinho, at the center of it, is doing what he has done since he was 9. He is smiling. He is signing. He is doing keepy-ups. He is letting a 12-year-old nutmeg him on purpose so the kid can post it. Now compare that with the industry standard. Yerevan, Armenia, November 2025. Cristiano Ronaldo, 40 years old, walks off a football pitch after a Portugal fixture. A fan runs from behind him and tries to grab him for a selfie. Cristiano turns and shoves him. Hard. The video circles the world in 6 hours. The Portuguese Federation issues a statement about crowd management. UEFA opens a file. And every commentator who breaks the story does so with the same subtext, which is that Cristiano has been that way for a decade. Even his own bodyguards struggle to hold his crowd back because his crowd knows it will only get a fraction of him. Kolkata, India, December 2025. Lionel Messi lands at Salt Lake Stadium for an appearance he was paid millions of dollars to make. The stadium security cordon collapses under the sheer volume of the crowd. Fans break seats. Fans throw objects. Police detain the organizer of the tour. Messi never even gets close to the pitch. He waves from a distance and is escorted out. That is a man who cannot exist inside an Indian stadium at 48, even with a small army protecting him. Now go back to Peckham. Ronaldinho, 1 year older than Messi is now, with no security, no fence, no cordon, absorbing a crowd of the same excitement level as those 2 events. And walking out of it 2 hours later with a smile on his face and no incident. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was pushed. Nobody was banned from anything. Why? Because his crowd, uniquely on Earth, believes it will be seen. It believes it will get a handshake, a hug, a signed shirt, a selfie, a moment of eye contact. And when a crowd believes it will be met, it does not surge. It waits its turn. Chaos in a football fan mob is not caused by numbers. It is caused by the fear that the star will slip away untouched. Remove the fear, and the mob organizes itself. Ronaldinho, without ever knowing it, discovered the one hack that Cristiano and Messi and Peckham never figured out. He gives the crowd the thing the crowd came for. And the crowd, in return, gives him room. October 15th, 2023. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International Airport, Kolkata. A Boeing 737 lands at Gate 3, and the runway staff already know what's coming because the arrivals hall has been packed since sunrise. This is the first time Ronaldinho has ever set foot in Kolkata. He has never played a competitive match in India. Not a single one. His visit is a 2-day promotional trip to inaugurate a Durga Puja pandal and play in a charity match. Nothing more. And still, on the drive from the airport to the hotel, the convoy has to stop 3 separate times because the crowd on the road physically will not clear a lane. People film from motorcycles. People run alongside the SUV. Kids press their faces against the glass. One clip that circulated on Bengali WhatsApp groups shows Ronaldinho rolling the window down and shaking hands with a man who is jogging next to the car at what must be 15 miles an hour. He signs a photo mid-jog. The car keeps rolling. The man collapses onto the sidewalk, laughing. Kolkata had never done that for a footballer before. Not for Maradona when he visited in 2008. Not for Pelé when he came in 1977. Only for Ronaldinho in 2023, 16 full years after he had last played a competitive match for Barcelona. The pandal he inaugurated that week was built to look like a football stadium. At the center of it stood a 75-foot statue. Not of him, of Lionel Messi. And Ronaldinho, without a single second of hesitation, stood in front of it and posed for photographs like a fan himself. He signed jerseys in the colors of Argentina. Not a flicker of ego. Not a public relations translator whispering in his ear. He simply understood, in that instant, what the fans in front of him needed him to do. That is a skill that cannot be trained. It is a skill that comes from Vila Nova, from decades of standing in the middle of a crowd and reading, in real time, what the crowd wants. Chennai told a similar story. Brazil legends versus India All-Stars, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, more than 60,000 people in the stands and thousands more locked outside the gates. In the tunnel before kickoff, the Tamil actor Ajit arrived with his young son, Advik. Advik was around 9 years old and gripping a football shirt in both fists. Ronaldinho saw him from 20 meters away, jogged over before anyone told him to, crouched down to the boy's eye level, and had a full conversation with him through a translator. The photo of that moment ran in Chennai newspapers the next morning. Advik has told interviewers since then that it is the reason he plays football. If this is the kind of story you want more of, tap subscribe right now. We drop deep dives like this every week on the players the algorithm treats as headlines and the streets treat as saints. You do not want to miss the next one, because what happened in India is not an isolated event. It is the pattern that has followed him to every continent for the last 2 decades. And it is exactly what set the stage for the strangest post-career appearance of his entire life. The Pink Rolls Royce in Shepherd's Bush. June 2024. West London, Shepherd's Bush. 6 years have passed since Peckham, and something has quietly changed. Ronaldinho is no longer arriving in a black SUV. He is arriving in a pink Rolls-Royce Ghost. The car is not his. It's a rental coordinated by Nike's marketing team for the launch of the Mad Brilliance boot pack. And the crowd is not caught by surprise this time. The crowd is waiting. Instagram had leaked the location an hour earlier. TikTok had geotagged the block. And by the time the pink Rolls pulled up on Uxbridge Road, the human corridor from the door to the pitch had already formed itself. This is what the mob economy looks like when it grows up. The event was staged. The pitch was fenced. There were security handlers in earpieces. There was a filmer with a proper cinema camera, not a phone. But watch the footage carefully, and you'll notice the one thing that did not change. When Ronaldinho steps out of the Rolls, he does not go through the security corridor first. He goes to the fence. He signs. He high-fives. He grabs a kid's phone and takes a selfie of himself and hands it back. Only then does he walk to the pitch. The same instinct from Vila Nova. 6 years older. Same reflex. Now fast forward to July 2026. The town is Ravenna on the Adriatic coast of Italy. Ronaldinho, at 46 years old and 8 years into retirement, has just signed with Ravenna FC, a third-division Italian side, as a symbolic ambassador. He flies in on a private jet to Forlì Airport, a small regional strip that mostly handles cargo and occasional charters. What happens on that tarmac made local news across 2 countries. Before the jet's engines have fully cut, the ground crew, the baggage handlers, the fuel technicians, and the 2 customs officers on duty have all gathered at the base of the stairs. They have footballs. They have Sharpies. They have their kids on video call. Ronaldinho comes down the stairs, signs every ball, poses for every phone, jokes with the customs officer, and takes a group photo with the entire ground crew before getting into the car. The car door has not even shut when a second wave of airport staff runs across the tarmac to catch him. He gets out again, signs again, then finally leaves. That evening, on a public stretch of Marina di Ravenna beach, the club had scheduled a presentation ceremony for around 1,000 fans. 6,000 showed up. The beach was not built for that. The presentation ran long because the crowd was too dense for the stage to be reached at the intended time. And Ronaldinho on stage did what he has always done. He waved for over an hour and refused to leave until every phone in front of him had gotten its shot. Cristiano at 46 will not do that appearance. Messi at 46 will not do that appearance. Ronaldinho at 46 is doing that appearance every month. Zoom back out. Almost 30 years of this. Almost 30 years of Ronaldinho stepping into a crowd instead of past it. The pattern the industry cannot decode is, in the end, embarrassingly simple. He is not doing anything strategic. He is not playing a long game. He is not managing a brand. He is a 46-year-old man from Vila Nova who never learned that fans were supposed to be a problem, and who therefore never trained himself to treat them like one. Every other megastar in modern football has been coached, filtered, insulated, and PR managed into a version of themselves that only exists behind glass. Ronaldinho got missed by that coaching. Miguelina raised him. Vila Nova raised him. And the man who arrived at Grêmio at 17 with the reflex to sign shirts through a fence never had the reflex trained out of him. And so the pattern holds. And it will keep holding. The kids in Kolkata who saw him bow toward a Messi statue will bring their own kids the next time he lands there. The Peckham teenagers who nutmegged him in a concrete cage will still be telling that story at 40. The airport staff in Forlì have a group photo on their break room wall that no amount of Champions League silverware could replace. That is why his crowd, uniquely on Earth, is growing while the rest of the retired giants are shrinking. Because a crowd that has been met once remembers. And it comes back with reinforcements. There is no security wall in the world that can compete with a man who does not want one. So here is what we want to hear from you in the comments below. Which Ronaldinho public appearance is your absolute favorite? Is it the Peckham cage in 2018, the pink rolls in Shepherd's Bush, the Kolkata airport chaos, or the Ravenna beach in 2026? And do you think there will ever be another footballer who can walk into a crowd like that at 46? Or is Ronaldinho the last of a species that modern football will never produce again? Drop your answer below. We read every single comment. And if this video gave you a new way to look at the strangest superstar football has ever produced, hit the like, subscribe if you're new here, and ring the bell so the algorithm knows to send you the next one. We'll see you in the next video.